Welcome to Life in Calgary, Alberta. I'm your host, Patrick Murray, and today we're going to talk about, will homes be more affordable in Calgary? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a deep dive of the pros and cons into the City of Calgary's plan to make housing more abundant and more affordable. But before we do that, if this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything there is about what it's like to eat, sleep, breathe, live, and play in Calgary, Alberta, then guys, just click that subscribe button and hit that little bell so you get notified every single time I release a new video. Now guys, I gotta tell you, I moved here back in 2001. I've lived in 5 different cities, but you know what? Calgary stuck. So I've been in this great city for this long, but I've also been a realtor here since 2010. And that means I have some specialized knowledge about the City of Calgary itself and the surrounding bedroom communities such as Chestermere, Okotoks, Airdrie, and Cochrane. So if you are considering a move to our great city or one of these bedroom communities and you would like some assistance to purchase a home, my information is below. Feel free to send me a text, an email, a phone call. I will absolutely get back to you. All right, guys, let's do this. Let's get into, will homes in the City of Calgary be more affordable right after this? The City of Calgary has a plan to make housing more affordable and more abundant. And they're moving forward with this plan in hopes that it's going to be the saving grace to Calgary's housing crises. Currently, as a default in many areas of the city, it is zoned so that only single-family homes can be allowed on the property. Now, if developers want to build projects that allow for more doors, they need to jump through a whole bunch of hoops to rezone these lots with no guarantees of their projects being approved. And this, this makes a huge level of uncertainty to builders as to whether the rezoning request will be approved by the city. Waiting for approvals can mean costly delays. I mean, in some instances, builders have had to wait 24 months before a shovel gets into the ground. Now, that also means some expensive carrying costs. And guess where those costs end up going? That's right, builders say those get passed on to the consumer. Now, the City of Calgary is moving forward with something called RCG zoning, and it's a blanket zoning for all residential areas. Now, this allows for single-family homes, yes, but it also allows for duplexes, triplexes, row housing throughout all residential areas. Now, the city feels that this would simplify the process for landowners and developers looking to build and help put an end to our housing crises. So how could RCG zoning benefit the city? Well, affordability doesn't necessarily mean refer to low cost or subsidized housing. There's a large portion of the population able to afford homes in that $300,000 to $600,000 range. And this is considered the missing middle, if you will. However, there simply isn't enough supply. So the low-cost housing ends up being taken by people within this price point, leaving a further deficit in the low-cost supply. Now, the current bylaw can take months to go from RC1 zoning for a single-family home to RC2 zoning for, a semi-detached project, for example, all the way to an RCG zoning for multi-residential. Now, this can take months, costing developers up to $500 a day, which again is added to the cost of the project development. And again, this is furthered on to the consumer. Now, currently there are 50 buyers for many homes that go on the market for sale, argue builders. And this drives up prices within homes selling above market value and hence making prices go up. Now, more supply could better contain market prices. So the argument is RCG zoning would put an end to such issues with a streamlined process thanks to the new zoning. Now, there are some concerns that have been brought up by the community regarding RCG zoning. So will it affect affordable housing is one of the questions. And the argument being developers will look to build new projects too expensive for many people to afford, missing that missing middle mark of that $300,000 to $600,000 price range. And another argument is, could the city have a conflict of interest as building fees are tied to construction costs, missing the mark for less expensive projects and instead opting for more expensive builds. And some people argue the city already has a disregard for community design covenants put in place to protect the character of established neighborhoods, including shadowing and overlooking of neighbors. And with this new zoning, will it make things even worse? And will the RCG zoning with high density developments be problematic with communities with undersized sewers and water mains? And will streets be ill-suited to accommodate all this additional traffic? These are all things for consideration and all things that have been raised regarding this new zoning coming into the City of Calgary. So what are some other thoughts about having or not having RCG zoning? Well, not having RCG zoning is good for current homeowners as it increases their home values and gives them a greater equity for home equity loans. And it also gives them a greater inheritance for their children and leaves them with quieter neighborhoods. Now, the downside of this lesser affordability is people returning to live in the city they grew up in must now live on the outskirts of the city to find more affordable housing options. Now, businesses look for affordability in the city when they come to invest in the city or move their head offices because they want affordable housing for their employees. So in that sense, having RCG zoning would be a good thing. Not having this RCG zoning could mean we're not really addressing the housing crisis and the affordable housing issues that we're having in the City of Calgary at this time. Through the public meetings, it's come to light that research in Minneapolis and Helsinki shows more housing can mean more affordable rents. Now, more expensive housing can create change as well as higher income households vacate older households for newer ones and open up the older units for households requiring more affordability. Now, some other questions for consideration as well is, will park and green spaces owned by the city in established communities be protected or will they be developed? Will heritage assets such as 100-year-old homes that are in good condition and mature trees, will those be threatened with the influx of new development? And will this be the end of detached homes as we know it? So with RCG zoning being approved by the city, this is a process that will take some time to implement. Now, many of the questions raised here need to be considered by City Council moving forward. Now, this does not mean the end of detached homes as we know it. For example, if there's an RCG build occurs, they must meet the criteria for land available. So for example, if you have a small property and it is zoned RCG, it does not mean that you can expect to build a large project on the land with greater density. It must meet all the checks and balances to have the proper land size for that development to occur. And this is more likely to occur with some larger lots in the inner city, on the corners, that sort of thing. Now, as to whether homes will be more abundant and affordable in the future, and will rents come down and be more affordable moving forward, that remains to be seen, and that's going to take a little time. So like I said, guys, if you are considering a move to Calgary or one of the surrounding bedroom communities and you would like some assistance to purchase a home, feel free to send me a text, an email, a phone call. My information is below. I will absolutely get back to you so you can start living your life in Calgary, Alberta.